All right, welcome. My name is Jeff with the Big Hairy Dog, and this is a webinar on the promotions tool, the V9 promotions tool. And I just realized I don't even have my agenda, but I know the tool pretty well, so probably don't need it. But we're going to look at how to set it up, how to install it, how to use it, how to pull it, what it is, right? Probably should check our agenda here, right? All right, so installation, promotions, and polling. Yeah, that's pretty much the deal, right? All right, so let's start with here's just a receipt screen, and I've been playing with it, setting it up, testing it. I have like a scrappling of a few items in there. So I set up a promotion, and I said I want to take 50% off on this item. So I'm just going to put an item in here that I put that code on, right? So I press enter, and it comes up and takes 50% off. Well, took $5 off, right? We look at the F5 button here, and we go to the item section here. It was $4.99, right? So it took $5 off, which technically you can't cut a penny in half, right? So you can't take 50% off even if it's $9.99. But it did what I asked it to do, right? This one here, I asked it to change the price to $2.99. And it did exactly what I want. Now, you see every time I scan an item, right here in the middle of the screen, it's going to pop up and say promotions calculating, right? That's what's going to happen every time when you scan an item. Now, generally speaking, that's an excellent thing to have happen in most, I'd say 99, 98% of the retailer, our clients are fine with that. In fact, it's a benefit because it calculates real time. You get that instant gratification. Yes, look, the discount was applied. Life is good. I can move on, right? If you're heavy like a grocery store, and that would apply to say pet stores to a certain extent, because pet stores in that same area where somebody could come in and buy 50 cans of cat food. Well, if it calculates every time for 50 items, it's going to start slowing down. So we'll look at some settings when we get into the tool to say, don't calculate real time, calculate at the end of the transaction once. And then you just would scan, click the tender button and let it do the one big calculation. Then you wouldn't have to wait over and over again, right? All right, so let's get out of Retail Pro for a minute. I'm going to minimize this. I'm going to get into my Retail Pro folder. So, normally we're on a server like on an R drive, or we're on a server one / thing. Retail Pro 9 is the root parent folder of Retail Pro, right? So inside there, we have an RPro Prom folder. So the RPro Prom folder should be there when you install. I renamed the database here, and I just put my own database in to save myself the hassle of setting it all up, right? But normally you'd just have an RPro MDB. You would have the executable, the DLL, and the MNF. Those are the ones you'd have when you open this up. You would not have an INI file yet. You will have one as soon as you set it up. So, and this is a lock file that just says I have the tool open, which I do. I have it open right here. So that's actually correct. It's just a locked database file that you get when you open it up. All right, so to install this, it is just a matter of taking the dynamic link library, the DLL, and the manifest file, the MNF file, copy those files, and put them in the plugin folder. Right now, you can see the one right there, right? I already did this. I had to test it earlier. I had to make sure it was going to work. So I already put those files in my installation, but you just paste them in there, right? That's all you do. And I'm going to say skip, and boom, the other one's there too, right? So you just copy them in there, boom, they just paste in there, they're good. Second, as part of the installation, you have to tell Windows about this program file, this DLL file, which is pretty easy. And this is in the documentation, which you can download from the developer. Anybody who doesn't have an account with Retail Pro or a password to their website, I'm going to suggest you get one. So myretailpro.com, they switched it all around. They changed it. It's kind of cool though. They sort of incorporated the dealer website and the customer website. When I sign on as a licensed technician or whatever then I'm going to have different options in here than you would, but you would have access to the documentation portal, so you could look up different documents here, right? So here's our pro promotions, oddly. So you could open that up and take a look at the document and look at. They have some really great examples in here. They did a really good job on this one. They're usually not quite this good in their documentation, and I'm going to say they did a pretty good job on this one. I've gone in here a lot of times and looked up different sections, and then they give you some examples, help you walk through it. With the global discount function, I pretty much have to go look at their examples every time. It's just where I am mentally. I do it once every 2 years, so you have to refresh your memory, right? So 1, copy files in. 2, register the DLL. To register the DLL, you just click down here. Now you have to do this on every workstation you're going to run this on, right? This is not just a one thing on the server thing. This is in Windows of each operating system, but it's pretty easy. Go to the Windows Run box. So I just in Windows 10, you could just click on that and type on the Windows 7 too. You can click in there and type Run. It'll bring you to the Windows Run box, right? So I have a virtual machine here, as you can probably see. There's a virtual machine here, and there's a Windows 10 machine right here. But the same thing, if I type Run here in Windows 10, of course, it's giving me a Run box on the other monitor, but I can move it over, right? So there's a Run box in Windows 10. There's a Run box in Windows 7, right? Same difference. Hopefully everybody's on Windows 10. My virtual machine, I have not wanted to rip everything out of my virtual machine and upgrade it yet. Anyway, that's what we're doing. We're typing in REGSVR, register service or server, I'm not sure, 32, and then we're putting in the path to the file. Now it's much easier than it looks. I'm going to back this out of here. So you type in this REGSVR32. You type that in there, okay? Then you take your mouse, you click on the file, and you drag it in there and let go. Okay, that's how you do it. It's not rocket science for sure. You just got to know REGSVR32 in the run box, drag it down, drop it in there, click OK. It pops up and says DLL registry server in blah, blah, blah succeeded. Now, the only reason this wouldn't succeed could be probably based on Windows rights. If you're not in as an administrator or a local administrator, it might fail, in which case you'd have to run as an administrator. I'm going to say, maybe call tech support for that. I mean, for those of you who are super savvy, I'm going to click on down here and type CMD for a command line. Now, the command line function, if you were to right click it before you just press enter like I did and run that as the administrator, you could then do the same thing we just did, but you would have to type the whole path out. You can't just drag and drop the whole file name path in there, right? You're going to have to drag and drop it. You're going to have to type it all the way out. You're going to have to say register 32, server 32, C:/ retail pro 9 / rpro prom / and the full file name. But that might work, by the way. So I'm just going to say, and if that seems too confusing and too much, that's a quick tech call. What, a 2-minute tech call to register a DLL? Probably worth the money and the time just to have one of the techs jump in and do it for you, right? So that basically sets it up right there. That's all you have to do to install it. So it comes with Retail Pro 9 and 8 and Prism, and you just basically install it, and it's there. That's all there is to it. Now, in the Retail Pro 9 RPro Prom folder is the executable. So you right click and drag over and create a shortcut here, but I already have a shortcut, so we're not going to be creating another one today. Now, the first time you run this, if it's brand spanking new, the first time you run this, I'm going to tell you to right click and go into properties. And at the end of this phrase here where it says, the drive letter, the Retail Pro folder, RPro Prom folder, and rproprom.exe, space / fix db. And I don't know how well that's documented, but if you put that in and click OK, and then run the shortcut once, it adjusts the blank database. So the blank database itself, it's a little wonky. I don't know, it has an error. And so I'm just going to tell you, just put that in there, double click it, right click it, immediately get rid of it. You don't need it. You don't want it in there. It does something to the database and fixes it, and then you're good to go. And all right, let's take a look at it, right? It's funny too. They wrote this such a long time ago, and it's really starting to come into its own in the last couple of years. It's really starting to become popular. So that's what you're going to see when you go into it. You're going to see the main menu. And on a side note here, I haven't seen any questions, but feel free to ask questions. If you want me to unmute you, I will. I have no problem with everybody jumping in and talking. Most people don't want to. There's a nice chat box. I've been trying to keep an eye on the chat. I don't see any chats. I don't seem to be putting their hand up or anything like that. But if you have a question, that means somebody else probably has the same question, and you should just ask it, right? Communication is the key here. That's what we're getting paid to do. All right, we're going to take a look at these different promotions. Customer pricing. Customer pricing is like a special price list for a group of customers. Like if there was a couple of items in my inventory and members of my whatever, if I was a museum and members got a 50% discount on museum produced programs or something, I don't know. There's like a handful of items. They're always going to get these discounts, but they don't get discounts on other items. Then what you would do is you'd set up a little list in here like this. You'd add the items and put a name in here, right? And then on the customer database, you've got to put the name on the customer, right? You've got to attach the two things. So over here in preferences, it says customer field to use for customer list info 1. Okay, so in info 1, you would have to put whatever you put in here, right? So if Mill Creek is the name of this discount schedule, then you would attach that in info 1, and then they would get special pricing on those. I find this, it does not work well for large lists, okay, that you have to come in here and constantly maintain, right? This works very well for a small handful of items. That's what it works really good on. It's not going to work well if you get to, a couple of hundred items and you're adding new product to those items all the time, and you're constantly having to maintenance this. This is not a good solution. You're probably looking more like a price level or a rule or something like that in one of the other promotional areas. Anyway, that's what the customer pricing is. Now promos may be the best one in here. It's pretty good, very flexible. What I like about promos, and to set one up, we might as well just start one, right? Click insert. We would then put a name in here. So you can see what we've done on the top here. 50% off, 25% off, 20% off, 40% off, right? So we could say, 10%. Now this name, the name of the promo is going to write to the transaction on the item in item note 5, unless you change the preference, right? So I can build reports that can read item note 5. So how you name this is important for tracking it later, if that makes sense, right? So we could say 10% off, I don't know, holiday or whatever, I don't know. So priority, now priority is meant to try and mitigate us human beings from putting 2 promos on 1 item, right? I'm going to tell you, don't do that. Try and avoid that. And there's some things we can do to help try and avoid that. It just depends on what kind of promotions you're doing, though. If you're doing very large promotions for very large tracts of inventory, like entire departments, then the filter is going to be pretty broad, and then you could run into this, right? So I'm not right now. I'm putting everything as 1 because I'm being very careful right now to not do that. A subsidiary is the company. You probably only have 1 subsidiary. If you have more than 1 subsidiary, then you'd have to pick which one or both, right? Stores, you can direct this to 1 store or many. So if I have 2 stores here, I can put them both in. But if one's a regular store and one's a clearance store, I could choose to only give this in the regular store, right? Either way, it's up to you. Then you have to decide on how you're going to filter for the items, right? So if I open this up, I could say by department code. So I could say department code equals, and I could put in exactly what, men's tees, right? I could say if it equals men's tees, then boom, give them a discount on those items. That's pretty broad though, right? So be careful with the filter. If there's an area that I have trouble with, it is the filter, and I have particularly trouble with wild cards, either getting too much or not getting enough, or not getting it at the right level, right? So I would say if you had men's tops, tees, men's tops, collar knits, men's tops, wovens, and I wanted to put them all on promotion, I would probably not do that. I would probably say this equals that, or it equals that, collar knit, say, and then I would just go ahead and say add again, or it equals men's top woven or something, right? I'm making those up, but you see where I'm going. That's much more specific when you're building a filter, and the more specific you can be, the better off you're going to be, because you've got to test these things, and that's coming up in our outline there. But you got to test these things. You got to know they're going to work. It's really vitally important that you test them. So we'll say okay for now. This one won't work. I don't think I have those departments. You can have a start and end date or not, right? If you don't, then it's open-ended. If you do, then it turns off and on, when you tell it to turn on and off, right? Then you get to say the amount. So if I say 10 here, right, then I can say whether over here that is a percentage, an amount, or a price. Is it a $10 price I'm trying to sell it for? Or am I taking 10 bucks off? Or am I taking 10% off, right? And then we can check off if we want to combine it with quantity discounts, which I probably wouldn't do that, by the way. What price levels it affects. You can check off the ones that apply. This is an item level rule. This is not a document level rule, right? And I have a schedule. I can put that in there too if I want. I don't see that a lot actually. Discount reasons. So, and this is just a really recent revelation that I've come to. The discount reasons is like the first level in reporting, right? And then the promotion names or item note 5 would be the second level, right? So if you see where my head's going to a certain extent, I'm thinking that when I run a report, I would have like BOGOs, and I'd have my different promotions here, and I'd see what the revenue and how much discount I took, blah, blah, blah. Then I'd say maybe promos, and I'd see the different promotions I set up under promos and blah, 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 the information over here. You see where I'm going mentally, right? So the discount reason, generally speaking, I would have those predefined in system preferences, and I would select them. Now, the tool does not prevent you from typing and going crazy. So I could select BOGO here, right? Or I could type in whatever. Well, there's only 6 characters, so I can get whatever. But if you do that, and I have some clients that have done that, it fills up your discount reason menu. It just fills it up. Like, so you get like a stacked menu that's got way too many options for your associates to pick. When they manually discount something, this menu pops up that's horrendous. Then you have to go in and turn off all those, deactivate them, right? Because they're in there and they're part of the data now. So, little warning there. When you go into this, have a plan, right? Because you're going to want to report on this data downstream, and you don't want it to be a mess. So it's better if you just say, I'm going to go into my system preferences and I'm going to go put some reason codes in, right? And you know what I mean when I say that, right? Everybody knows that I mean back here on the main menu of Resale Pro, we go into options, system preferences, local, point of sale, general, price discounts, and I put in the reason codes I want, right? So I could have coupon as one of mine. I could have customer. These are all just volunteers from Retail Pro, actually. But I could come down here and I could make a new one, right? If I want to have another one in there. And if I don't want them, like I don't want VIP, I could take that off. And then it won't show up anymore. So I would try and keep this nice. It's mad at me now because I deleted that by accident. I would try to keep this list though, this pretty tight and pretty neat for reporting purposes. And also you don't want it to affect manual discounts, right? That's just a lot going on there. And then in the tool, of course, I would then try to name these really specifically that represents well in a report. Okay, I'm off the soapbox. Coupon code, you can optionally have a coupon code, right? In any of these promotions, by the way, all these promotions up here have coupon code functionality, right? So what that means though is if you're going to have a coupon code, you got to have a coupon field, right? So that might mean screen design, and that might mean deploying a new screen design. So here, I can't have a coupon code here because I don't have the coupon field. So I'd have to go into my screen designer, open it up, go find the coupon function and drop that in, right? Now, it's not a field per se so much as a little table, right? You could have more than one coupon on a given receipt, right? So I like to drag this over. That's the field you scan into, so I prefer to have that be first, and probably I would want the name second, right? So that I scan the barcode and it then gives me the visual confirmation of that coupon code, right? We should probably try this. All right, so this one here is my little 50% thing, and this one's set up that aux8 equals 50, right? Now that is in itself a trick, a very nice trick, by the way. If you have a field like aux8 or whatever, right? You pick a field and you say, that's the field that I'm going to put the mark in to activate a promotion. It's got its pros and its cons. I'll give you that. But the pros are a couple. One, you can't put 2 marks in one item, right? And so it gives you immense control over this process. So if you're a tourist location and you're cherry picking out items that are going to promotion to try and get them out the door, then that works really well. If you're in a more like a bigger city where you have a lot of traffic and you're doing big promotions that are for big groups of stuff, that's not going to work so well. The con there is both the pro and the con is you have to touch every item, right? Touching every item gives you a lot of control, but it's a lot of work, right? So if you're doing bigger promotions, then just watch what you're doing and try not to overlap 2 promotions, right? So let's put a coupon code on this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, say, right? And that's saved. Do I trust this? Probably not. We're going to go back in and make sure it's set up. I have found that leaving the promotions tool open can hold the database open and cause testing to not go as smoothly as possible. So I'm just going to give you that little warning because that definitely worked, right? Okay, so if it's got a 50 in aux8, it qualifies for that coupon code, right? So retail Pro 9, inventory, and coincidentally, I have 2 items that already have a 50% off in that field. So 1 and 9, 100009 and 10001, right? So let's try it out, right? Hopefully you guys aren't asleep yet. I'm working hard here, I'm just telling you. All right, so 100001, nothing happens. 100009, nothing happens. 100101, this one's set to go to 299, and it goes to 299. So I come down here and I scan their coupon, right? Beep. Did it work? All right, so it brings in the promotion's name and shows me that it was applied. And I look up there to the items, and in fact, they're 50% off, right? Or as close as they can get. All right, so let's buzz back through the rest of the promotions, right? Everybody gets what we've covered so far. Any questions? I don't see any questions. Excellent. All right, signing back in. The menu size thing just goes weird on you. It goes small, then it starts out small, goes small, then you go full screen, and then it actually goes full screen. So it's pretty exciting. All right, so quantity discount. So far the same, right? Your name, priority, subsidiary company, what stores it affects, you know, how we're finding this, right? So this one here is for 3, 4, 5 magnets, right? So this kind of applies to things that have that mark. So this one has both the ability to say, wait, what discount item filter, right? And then what it applies to, right? So you can say they buy 4 of these, they get a discount on that or something, right? From 3 to infinity. So once you hit the threshold there, they've said you get that, that discount. They're not, so you can buy 4 or 5 or 6 or whatever, right? All right, so discount type is amount. Is it amount? Yeah, discount amount. So they're taking 29 cents off of the item. That's your choice, whether you do a 10% discount or an amount off or set the specific price, right? Price levels, reason code, schedule, coupon code, right? Start and end date. So this one has a start and end date where the other ones don't. I wish they had a form view on here, but they don't really have a form view. So you have to kind of move things around to see things better, if you know what I'm saying. But again, pretty straightforward, almost exactly the same as the last one we set up, right? Pricing, I haven't figured out why they put this in here. It works really well, by the way, but the only difference in pricing and promos is it only has a price. It doesn't have amount or percentage off. Otherwise, it's exactly the same as promo. Like you give it a name, you say what stores and companies you're on, what the filtering thing is, right? Start and end date. And then what the price is, and that just applies, right? As you use it. BOGOs, now BOGOs are definitely more complicated, right? BOGOs have the ability to say they have two filters, right? They have a buy filter, and then they have a get filter. So we can go in here and say, you know, if you buy something where description 4 has that field in it, right? Has that mark in it that I put in there. So this is a slightly different version of the same thing. Now I'm going to point out that earlier versions of the promo tool did not have vendor code. So you see how vendor code is way down here in my list, and it's not up with the other primary fields like department code and description 1, right? It's like way down here because that was an omission, and we logged it and they fixed it, right? That's what that is. So so if you're on like an older version of 9.4 or 9.3 or 9.2 or something, you won't have vendor code. Now there's things we can do to get around that. In the back end of Retail Pro in the SQL shell, I could copy the vendor code to a description 4, and that's actually what this here derives from. JS was a vendor code, and we copied it over to description 4 in a previous version, and that thing's still sitting around basically in my database here. But I wouldn't need it today. If I was actually going to do this today, I would just go in and say, look, the vendor code equals like JS, right? I would just go right for the vendor code. I wouldn't need that description 4 thing. So, but we can say the buy filter is you have to buy 1 or 2 or 5 or 6 or whatever of things that meet a certain criteria here. And then if you do that, the get item, it can be a specific item. In this case here, it's a specific ALU, right? And then you can say how many you get and whether it's a discount or whether it's a dollar discount. Or do I get a discount $2 off? Do I get 10% off, or do I get to buy it for a certain price? And then you can say what that is. So if I say it's a percentage off and it's 100% off, this buy one get one free, right? Again, start date, end date, and now with the BOGO they went crazy. You got start date and time. So you could do a thing where you got a blue light special from 1 to 2 in the afternoon. If you want, you could do that. Then you got this apply discounts too, and you've got this little menu here: lowest prices, highest prices, optimize. So we're gonna make a little example here and see if we can make sense of this. So let's say that it's buy one get one free. All right, that's fine. And that I have not checked apply once. So you see right here it says apply once. But I'll say that if you buy 6, you get 3 free, right? Okay, so if they're buying 6, and let's say they're buying a $100 item, a $90 item, a $70 item, a $30 item, a $20 item, and a $10 item, right? Which 3 should go for free, right? That's the question we're answering with this apply to. So if I say highest, then it's going to be these 3, right? If I say lowest, it's going to be these 3. If I say optimize, it'll be this one here, because it'll be these 2 will be grouped, and then the lesser expensive. Then this one here, these 2 will be grouped, and the lesser expensive. And then these 2 will be grouped, and then the $10 one would go for free, right? That's what optimized means. And now customers aren't stupid. I mean, if you tell me that I have to get the 3 bottom ones free, I'm going to say, well, I got to do some more shopping. I'm going to bring the $100 and the $90 one up and buy it in one transaction, go out, do it again, right? I'm going to make you make 3 transactions, which you then have to spend 3 times the amount of time in payroll to accomplish the same sale. But that's up to you. So, but that's what that does. So probably for a BOGO, you want to leave this on optimize. But if you're switching the BOGO to be like a transactional thing, then you don't want to use optimize. Optimize blows up global discounts. I found out that the hard way, I'm just going to say. So on this one, optimize is good. On this one right here, it's bad, right? So this one's a little different. See, this one over here, see in the get filter, it's switched to be apply reward to global discount, right? Global discount and a threshold of $200, they get 10% off. You see how that works? So that's really totally different than a regular BOGO. Doesn't even have a buy filter. So the BOGO, in my opinion, is probably the most powerful. I don't know though. The promo section is pretty nice. I got to say I like that one a lot too. Let's pop over to the options here. Let's take a quick peek at the options because there are a couple of things here that are kind of important. So earlier I mentioned that if you're scanning this thing and you're a pet store and you've got 50 cans of cat food, it's not going to work for you, right? So the way you get around that is right here. Disable automatic promotions, apply manually, perform an automatic promotional processing when the tender button is pressed, right? That's how you get around that. So I should, while I'm here, obviously point out that when you first launch this thing, this checkbox here will not be checked off. You do have to turn this on, and this is where you turn it on. All right, what else here is important that we should go over? If you're having trouble with it, you can turn this debug on. Now, this is going to pop up a, when you launch Retail Pro, it's going to pop a little log up, and it's going to show you the log. So generally, I would not want this turned on, but it can be helpful if you're trying to figure out what's going on and why things aren't working. I have used it, but I'm going to say generally leave that off. Inventory field to use for storing quantity discount weight. One, I haven't used that a great deal. Customer name, we already looked at. Inventory field to use for excluding items, I have used that. So if you have a rule you want to set up and you want certain items to be excluded that are in that group, there's only 3 items and it's a whole department, then yeah, just go in and put no disc on those 3 items in whatever field we say, OX6 or whatever you say, and that way you can at least have control. Like you'd use a big filter and still pull back on the 3 items you don't want to give discounts on, right? And right here it says receipt field to use for storing the manual discount, right? So that's going to write the promo name. It's going to write no discount. It's going to write the manual discount. It's going to write for every item, basically, when this thing's turned on, it's telling you what's going on with that item in that field. Receipt field to use for storing manual discount. That's like repeating the phrasing there. Anyway, POS flag 3, fine. Nobody uses POS flags much. That's as good as any other field, I guess. Price decimals 2. Okay, apply promotion discount 2. Now that one is very, very important. That one has gotten me in trouble on a number of occasions. So, if you're configured, let's start a new scratchy pad here, right? So let's say I've got an item and I've got 2 price levels, okay? I've got a retail price level and I've got an original price level. And I say I've got it for $80 in retail, and I'm showing an original price of $100. So right now when I scan this item, if this here is set for my original price is actually being pulled from, and I can go show you the settings on this, right? But it's going to come up at 20% off, right? So if I write a rule now that says take another 10% off, and I take it off original price, it's going to raise the price, not lower it, right? So that's a pretty common thing to do. I probably only see it about 30% of my clients, but I do see it quite a lot. So out here in, yes, coupon field, yes, must have a value. Thank you for that. Oracle sticking its ugly head in. Options, system preferences, right? So in merchandise, pricing, right? If I have like a retail price, and then I have an orig price, and then under point of sale discounts, I say bring my original price from original. Then I go into inventory, pick an item that I haven't mucked around with, right? So if we say, yeah, this item here, form view, what do we got going on this thing? Okay, we got a retail price of $9.99. So if I say this is, we got an orig price of, we'll say 30 bucks. Go crazy here, right? Save. And so now if I go sell this item, 11, but there's no promotion here, right? This is just, so an original price is another price level. You have to maintain another price level, right? I'm just going to put the warning out there. However, if you're maintaining a price level, I got to say original is probably the easiest to maintain, right? You put the original price in once, you're pretty much done, right? So that thing's automatically now coming up that way with a discount. And I could have a planned mark that turns on and off, and I could have original price squirreled away all the time, and I could use original price for subsequent markdowns. I could take 10% off. I could then mark from original 20% off, from original 30% off. There's a lot of benefits to doing that, but it's extra work, so you guys got to weigh out whether that's even something you want to play with. But in settings there, we have to understand the settings. So now if I come out here and take that item, right, and I put in a 50 on that, I put the 50 mark on that, and we go try that again. Okay, item number 11, come on down. That's interesting. So the promotion looks like it applied, but it didn't. Or no, we didn't have a coupon code on that, right? We did have a coupon code on that, right? So I have to come down here and put in my, right? So it raised the price from $9.99 to 15 bucks. So you just got to be careful. You got to know what you're doing here, right? But at the end of the day, I mean, it's doing exactly what we ask it to do. So as always, be careful what you ask it to do, right? All right, so oh yeah, price levels, discount order, right? So subtotal bit for BOGOs, for whatever reason, defaults off. So you can't do like when they get to 200 bucks, take 10% off unless you turn that on. So just gonna warn you up front, it defaults off, which is a little weird. Also, this determines the order of events, right? So this determines whether like promos are more important than customers, right? So I can move this up to the top if I want to move it to the top with those little arrows on the side. Right. I have not actually used the import function much, to be honest. I don't know where you'd even get that file from. So, but I can research that and find out that if somebody needs to import or export these. Really don't need to do that much because in multi-stores, you're just going to move the database, right? You'd have to be going out to a third-party program of some kind, right? You wouldn't be, within Resale Pro, you would never import or export these. Right, so back to what have we accomplished here? Have we accomplished what we're supposed to accomplish? Copy the plugin files, preferences, turn it on. Okay, we've definitely talked about that. We've talked about the different promotions modules inside. And yes, I said this before and I'm gonna highlight it and say it again. You gotta test these. You gotta test these and test these and test these. You gotta make sure that you're 100% sure that's gonna work. Throw every curveball you can think at it. And if then you need some help, give us a holler. because you know, Ken and I are both really pretty good at this. Actually, most of the techs are. All right, so if you're a multi-store, right, and you want to do this at the other stores, right, you then have to know how to send this down, right? Yeah. So in Oracle, when you down arrow, right, Oracle gives you a new record. And this is true of system preferences everywhere. And if you leave the cursor in there and try and escape out, it errors out and says you need to put something in that field, right? All right, so here in polling ECM stations, right, there's a thing called move list. Now, move list is how you would manage and or install this to the remote stores. Now, if it requires a screen change, like adding the coupon field, you're going to have to push the screen designs and down and install those formally, right? That's not something we can do through move list. But if it's not involving a screen change, then you could in fact do pretty much everything from here, right? So if I come in here and I say new move list for an existing set chain of stores, whatever, 5 stores and a main office, and everything's already installed, all they would do is they'd come in here and say add a move list. It's a file, and I want to grab the Resell Pro RPro Prom MDB from the main and put that at the remote. Now, I'm on a virtual machine, so I've got a C drive path, but most of us out there have an R drive path, right? So having a consistent path on all your stores is important. And if you don't have one, know what stores have what path, because you're going to have to make more than one move list, right? So you've got to say where to pick it up, where to put it down, for what stores, right? So that's a move list. And if I say generate move list, you see it now, it shows pending here. And it would just sit out here and it'd be happy. Next polling cycle, this would vanish. I'm going to delete it. And I'm going to, yeah, that's perfect. So we're going to go back to move list. So after polling, it would look like this. The little message would come back up that says no move list file exists, right, for this selected station. So that's what it normally looks like. Now, if I needed to, could I do that same thing, except could I move the DLL and the MNF from the RPro Prom folder to the plugins folder on the other side? Yes, I could, right? That's just 2 more move lists for files, right? And then could I move, once I'm all set up and ready to go and I've tested it and I'm pretty sure, could I move this INI file from my RPro Prom folder to the remote RPro Prom folder? Yes, just another move list, right? So registering the file, you're gonna have to dial in and do that. There's no shortcut there. You'd have to get this one registered in Windows. So that one you do have to dial in and get that done. So that being said, I'm guessing you might as well just dial in and copy them all in there, right? I was excited for a minute thinking you could do all this remote. But the setup is a one-time thing, right? Once your stores are set up and using the promotions tool, then you can just send the MDB down whenever you get an updated version. So you could go in and delete some promotions, do a move list, send it down to the stores, and then the promotions would be gone at the stores. You could add a bunch. Ideally, in a perfect world, and that's not true of everyone, but certainly some people have a main office. At the main office, then you're not a store per se, so you could test, know that this thing's really solid, send it to the stores. I have a couple of clients now, bigger clients that have tried to get away from manual discounts completely. They're putting in promotional rules for every discount that they're doing, and that just takes the user error out, right? And it is nice, I have to say. It's a little more work. on the back end, but you get better consistent discounts and much happier customers, I think, when the discounts happen automatically. So, right, so that's in a nutshell the promotions tool. Do you guys have any questions? Is there any scenarios? Is there any scenarios that you would like to see? Anybody want to throw me a curveball and see if I can set something up? Now, again, I can unmute you if you want me to unmute you. Just like pop into the chat or raise your hand, and I can easily unmute you. Or you could just ask something in the chat, right? Oh, there is something in the chat. Look at that. I didn't see that. How would an Astro loyalty manufacturer coupon work with this program? Well, so in the Astro, there's an Astro integration. So there is right now the Astro integration is one way, and it's a simple integration. I don't have it loaded, but I can explain it well enough. So with Astro, just so that everybody knows, Astro is mostly a pet industry loyalty program. And the problem with Astro has been thus far that without the integration, you would open up Retail Pro and you would scan the cat food into Retail Pro. Then you would open up the loyalty program web interface and you'd scan the same items in to loyalty so that Astro knew that you bought them, right? And that's a pain in the butt. And there's a little button now they have, it's an integration that where you can scan the items into Retail Pro and you can say send to Astro and boom, it just feeds them into the Astro screen. Boom. It logs into Astro for you, it sends the customer over, finds the customer, loads the items into the customer's profile. Then, let's say in Astro, then you do something like you decide to take a discount of some kind, right? That then comes back to answer your question, right? So then you could have a rule set up, and I would probably do this as a coupon that says, you know, that this item here qualifies for a free bag of dog food or something if I put in the code Astro, right, or Astro 399 or whatever, right? So you would make up a code. Then what they would do is they would redeem the thing in Astro out on the web, right? They would go ahead and do what they do out here. Then they would come back over here, and in the coupon box, they would just put in their little coupon to have it automatically apply it to Retail Pro. And that would be a pretty slick way of doing it. The things I like about that would be that for reporting purposes, I need a discount code that I can report on and then export that data out and get my money, right? With Astro, because Astro, when you give these free bags of dog food, right, you're getting refunded back from the manufacturer ultimately, I guess, right? So if I set up a promotion, I can define the discount code that gets applied to that item in the promotion, and then the promotion is applying that discount code evenly every time, which is better than trusting the associate to do it. Not that I don't trust my associates, but I probably don't trust my associates, right? So, so I think that would work well. It's just be a matter of setting it up, and you probably have to set up one for every, for everything, because you wouldn't want to apply a discount on Astro's website and then put a coupon code in and have 3 bags of dog food get discounted, right? So you'd have to have, like, for every single promotion, you'd have to have one set up that matches the Astro promotion exactly, right? So if this is Blue Buffalo, I don't know, 40-pound bags of dog food, I'd need a promotion for that one and a different one for the 25-pound bags and a different one for whatever apples to apples, you know what I'm saying? If that answers the question, hopefully that does answer the question. But I think that would be a really excellent, an excellent usage of this promotion. So, any other questions or any other scenarios? Shop in the list there. Not seeing much going on there. Hopefully you guys are still awake. I can see if some of you guys have looked at other screens. You're browsing the internet. You're dozing off. I get it. Fair enough. you know, I'm not the most exciting guy. I get it. All right. So if there's not much else, I'm going to say we adjourn. And I'm going to tell you guys to have a good rest of your Wednesday and a great rest of your week. And please stay safe. This whole thing is weird. You know what I mean? And yes, thank you. Thank you. Always good to see you, Matt. All right, guys, have a good one, and we will. I will convert this recording and put this up on the web, and I'll send you a link to it if you want to. I don't know if you want to get some popcorn and relive this event. You can certainly do that. All right, then. Take care. Bye bye.